everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Interview Show. I'm your host, Erik Smith, and today my guest is author extraordinaire Hunter Shea. Welcome, Hunter.
Howdy. It's so nice to be on a show and not have to arg.
Nope, sorry. Before we get into anything, there's something that we have to talk about because as I was preparing for this interview, I went online to do a little research. I Googled Hunter S., and from what I can find, you're a gonzo journalist who died in 2005. How do you respond to these accusations?
I wanted to restart my career. I said, I'm an excellent writer, and I've got this great reputation. I want to throw all that away, so I faked my death. Johnny Depp put fake ashes in that cannon, and I debased myself enough to write horror for a living.
All right. Well, that clears it all up. Now I feel better.
Yeah, there we go. And I'm sober. So.
Well, that's just depressing.
It is. Tell me.
All right. Anyway, yeah, I don't know why I thought that would be funny to bring up Hunter S. Thompson. But
I should be Hunter S.T. Shea and see if people get it. Maybe I'll change my name for the next book. I like that.
Excuse me. All right. So anyway, as I said, author extraordinaire, in my opinion, anyway, Hunter Shea. Now, where are you at? Right? Where's your secret location? We don't have specifics. We don't want anyone stalking you, but
other than the two people in my driveway right now, I live in New York, not far from Manhattan. In fact, some days you can kind of see the Manhattan skyline from where I'm at right now. So, and I've always been down here. I'm a New Yorker, tried and true.
I've been to New York once, not even New York City, just Rochester.
Oh, that's not New York.
Worst vacation of my life.
Would you go, hey, let's go see like the Kodak factory or something? Was that the vacation?
My stepfather's family is from there. I was 17. It was the end of the summer, and the whole family was going to Rochester. I did not want to go. I was forced to go to Rochester. Within 3 hours of being at his family's house, I lost my wallet. When the week was finally over and we were going to leave, there was a death in the family, and we had to stay for a funeral.
Oh, my God.
So it tacked on another week of hell. I had to drive with, I have a lot of siblings, and they were very young back then. So I had a bunch of little kids in the car. We were doing 60-something down the freeway and had a blowout.
Oh, my God. Were they screaming? Was it like something out of a vacation movie?
Yeah. And we went flying off the side. So I've not been back since.
Well, I will tell you here, Rochester is so not considered like New York to lower New Yorkers. Maine is closer to get to than Rochester. Okay. So I can travel across 4 different states and get there in less time.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So, excuse me. Oh, this crazy weather. How are things there?
Yeah, it's nice here. It's been warm, you know. It's been a little muggy.
Hot and humid here.
I just want it to get cold, dark, and I just want to watch everything around die. That's all I want right now. I want fall to come here.
We are coming up on the best part of the year.
Oh my God. And I have a daughter. I have 2 daughters, but my youngest I've completely infected with horror and Halloween and stuff. And like, she's already loading up on pumpkin spices. We have Halloween decorations all around the house right now waiting to go up and be put on walls and everywhere. So like we're ready. But I've got lots of pumpkin ale in the refrigerator, so I'm really ready.
Nice. Well, since you mentioned the pumpkin ale, let's talk a little bit about Monster Men, because you did at least one episode of drinking.
We did the first year we did wine, which was horror themed wine. Jack's friend got these bottles of like Zombies Infidel and Dracula Merlot or something. They were wretched. I mean, I'm not a wine aficionado, but I know bad hooch when I taste it. So the next year we were like, oh, I don't want to do wine again. Let's do pumpkin ales. So we did that, and we just literally this weekend filmed this year's Pumpkin Ale episode.
All right.
So Jack brought over 4 new because there's a million now. It's crazy. But we tried 4, and it was very different this year than last year. We loved every single one of them.
Nice.
This year was a little different. So
for those who don't know, what is Monster Men?
Monster Men is me and my friend Jack just foolishly talking about all things horror. We met working at a company together, and we used to just sit around at lunchtime and just talk about, hey, did you hear about this guy called Brian Keene, wrote this book called The Rising? And, hey, what was your favorite Telly Savalas horror movie from? It was like Nightmare Express or whatever that movie was. So we would just talk about horror all the time, and then, talk about horror in bars. And we used to say, man, we should do a show, man. Somebody should pay us to do a show where it's just like 2 dudes at a bar talking about horror. And then when I got my first book deal, we were like, hey, let's do this to help promote the book and everything and get the word out. And man, we just love doing it. It's been 5 years? Maybe it's been 6 years.
Wow.
Over 100 episodes. Unlike a audio podcast, there's a lot of editing and stuff that we do with this, so that's why it takes a while. We try to do 2 episodes a month, except summertime is a slow time. I think horror people just go into hibernation, like it's too freaking hot. I don't care. I just want to watch superhero movies. So, but then we pick it up, and like in September we're picking up. October we're probably going to do an episode every week.
Nice.
But there's a lot of labor. My wife just asked Jack. She said, how long does it take you to edit, like put together an episode? And I've never even asked him. And he says like 10 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, thank God I don't have to do that.
Well, that's why this is the low budget interview. There's no editing. The only editing basically is I'll cut off. Of course, no one's going to actually hear it, but I did a countdown at the beginning. You know that, but I'll cut that off. Or actually, we were talking for a little bit while we were recording, so all that will get cut off. I had a couple pictures at the beginning and some music. And
right.
That's but all of this, unless something goes horribly wrong, there will be no cuts, no editing, anything.
Jack liked the beer episode because he's like, oh, all right, that's good. I don't have to put in, he doesn't have to put any graphics and anything like that. He's like, yeah, we'll just start to end. I can just plug it in.
Oh, that's right. You've got all that. See, I don't know how to do any of that stuff.
Me either.
I have no idea.
People ask me, oh, what program do you use? I'm like, I don't know. I have a microphone.
Well, the first time I saw an episode of Monster Men, I didn't know who you were. I didn't know who Jack was. I'd never read any of your stuff. Someone posted a link to the Brian Keene episode.
Okay. A lot of people watched that episode.
And
too.
so I'm a Brian Keene fan. And I was like, all right, let's hear what these guys, these funny-looking dudes have to say. It was a lot of fun, and I've been watching it since then. I don't always catch every episode. We're both busy guys.
Exactly. It's impossible to catch up everything.
But
trust me.
And I don't drink, so I do tend to skip the drinking episodes because it doesn't feel good. I'm not going to pick up any of that stuff.
Right. You know what? We used to, because, when he gets over, the first thing we do is crack open some beers. Mm-hmm. As the day goes on, maybe have a little shot of whiskey or whatever, maybe a shot of tequila. But we always used to hide it. Like, on the table, we have books stacked up, and usually behind those books are the drinks.
Okay.
Since we hit episode 100, we're not really hiding it so much anymore. So it was nice this last time to just like, oh yeah, drinks right on the table.
Why not?
Exactly. What are we hiding this for?
I do like. I like your themed episodes, which every episode doesn't necessarily have a theme, or does it? Do you have a?
Well, sometimes it'll be. There's always a theme, as in we're going to review some movies. We'll talk about Universal Monsters here. We'll talk about maybe one of my books over there. So there's always some kind of theme, and maybe we'll throw a couple of things in, the front and back end or whatever. I used to do comic book recommendations till I ran out of comic books, the horror comic books that I was keeping up on. So we just try to change it up every now and then, It's whatever pops in our head.
That's what I like. I like that it is very at least it feels very casual.
It is, and he completes me. We have a good rapport, you know. It's even when we first started, people were like, "Oh wow, how long have you guys been doing this?" And we're like, 3 episodes. And they were like, "How much do you plan?" We're like, "We don't. We just like before we turn the camera on, we'll go. So what do we talk about?" And Jack will go, "Oh, Blair Witch. Okay, Blair Witch." And he turns the camera on, and we just go.
Right. That's kind of how this is. I have a few things like the Hunter S bit. You know, I was like, "All right, I'll do that at the beginning."
Right.
But otherwise, I just kind of like the casual back and forth. You know,
Yeah, let it roll.
keep it
That's the most fun
freewheeling.
way.
And since
Free,
you
I was
met,
gonna I was gonna say free balling, but yeah.
hey, whatever works. This is from the waist up, so
It's true.
you know what's going on down there. You mentioned comics. Did you hear the Marvel monster news?
No, I didn't.
Well, they've been teasing for a while now. I guess they've had this little tease with the letters MU. That's
Right.
all they, and I think maybe a date, just MU, which could be Marvel Universe, could have been anything. And then
Hmm.
they finally, just a week or so ago, announced that it's Monsters Unleashed.
No way.
And now, I just a couple days ago read that it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be an event on the scale of like Civil War or Secret Wars or Secret Invasion or any of that, but it's
Right.
a big crossover where essentially all of the giant monsters in the Marvel Universe try to take over.
Oh my God.
And all the heroes have to come together to fight the monsters.
Woo, my nipples are very hard right now. This is hurting. Please tell me this comes out in October.
Uh, I'm not sure. It's
You
it, it
hope, right?
it doesn't. I have not seen it in any of the previews catalogs.
Oh, I'm going over to the Spider's
So
Web, the store by me, and I'm going to ask Paul.
you got to find
I
out.
need to
But
know.
apparently, from what I read, I think even Groot is going to be part of the bad guys.
Oh,
They said, well, what I read, and again, who knows? This was an article on the internet, um, but I think it was Comic Shop News or someplace that I read it. It said something like even the good monsters are working with all of the other monsters. So you've got Fin Fang Foom and Groot, and I actually have some of the names written down from.
what about the old Devil Dinosaur?
You'll
Remember
have,
that
oh
thing?
yeah, I think they mentioned Devil Dinosaur, Goom,
Oh my God.
uh, Gorgola. I actually,
Oh my God.
did you
That's going to be so much fun.
have you read any of the recent Marvel novels?
No. You know what? I don't even see them anywhere. Like
Oh,
they're not even in my comic book store.
I picked mine up at Barnes and Noble.
Really?
Yeah, but they have, a lot of them have been novelizations of comic book storylines, but now
Right.
they have maybe five that are totally original. And there's a Deadpool novel
Right.
called Paws that features the giant monsters. It's there,
Oh, I got to write this down. I can't miss this.
and it's first person Deadpool telling the story,
Well, you want to hear what's going on in his demented melon.
and that's why I actually have. If you look at this, I don't know how well you can see it. If you can even read that, I have horrible lighting, but I have written
Yeah.
down the giant monsters that were in the book for when I did my review, which is why I just happen to have that handy. All the giant monsters whose names start with G for some reason.
Well, now I got to leave. I'm sorry. I'm going to Barnes & Noble. See you.
Rush off, and they have a copy of that one at my comic book store.
Oh, I'm going to check that out tomorrow because
Uh,
we're going shopping tomorrow. It's shopping day.
but yeah, I
So,
really enjoy. I thought it was a great one. I've really liked the original novels. I have the novelizations as well because they take a little. I don't know if detour is the right word. A different perspective, I think, from
right.
the comic book story. Like, do you read Avengers, or did you?
I used to, yeah.
Well,
Long
when New Avengers started, they had the what is it, Breakout storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Read that. there's a novelization of that focuses on Hawkeye. So it's the same story, just from basically it's
From
all
his perspective.
Hawkeye's perspective. But the originals, you've got Dan Abnett wrote a Rocket and Groot, which was fantastic.
Wait, oh, wow. As
It,
if I didn't have enough to read.
it's
Thanks, Eric. Thank you.
it reminded me not nearly as outrageously hilarious as Douglas Adams, but it had that British comedy flavor to it. This Rocket
That's
and Groot novel. He did an Avengers novel, and then there's also, like I said, the Deadpool. There's a Captain America. There's an Ant-Man that I was really disappointed with.
well,
I love
look.
Ant-Man.
You know what? I was never a huge Ant-Man fan, and then when I saw the movie, I was like, oh, I dig Ant-Man. And then when he showed up in Civil War, I was like, I really dig Ant-Man.
That my favorite part of the movie is
Oh,
he becomes Giant Man. Spoilers. Uh,
yeah.
well, I think because back in the day, Iron Man was my favorite hero. That was the first comic I seriously collected, went out,
Right.
hunted down. I had issues from before I was born. Issues
Yeah.
of Tales of Suspense. I had the first appearance of Hawkeye,
Wow.
Tales of Suspense, when he was a bad guy. But there was a time, right around the time that I really started to get into Iron Man, Scott Lang started working for Tony Stark.
Hmm.
So Ant-Man was almost a co-star in Iron Man's book, and I think that's probably why I've got this. He's got a special place right in here where my heart should be.
That'll do it. Hey,
Uh,
I'm a Captain America man.
oh, we can. I don't know if I got the.
Look at that.
Don't know how well it shows up, the Iron Fist,
Nice. See?
but
So
although
yeah.
I'm gonna have a little DC in a few days because this is really not going to work well. It's not going to show up. The Cthulhu tattoo
Right.
will just tip
Oh,
it.
nice.
But Aquaman is going to be there. That's the outline. Don't know how well you can see that.
That's really cool. That's a great idea.
Yeah, I went in for the Cthulhu and my tattoo artist Amy. Shout out to Amy. She said, "Is there anything else you want to add before we get started?" I was like, "You know what? I want to put a little Aquaman in there. I think that'd be fun."
I want to have Cthulhu killing Aquaman.
Yeah, there's a new Doctor Strange novel coming out as well, of course, since the movie's coming out.
Yes. Which I was so shocked. We were watching the coming attractions. My wife she's hot and cold on the superhero movies.
Mhm.
She loved Guardians of the Galaxy. She loves the Captain America movies, but then doesn't like much of anything else. We saw the coming attraction for that. I'm like, oh no, there's no way. And she's like, I really want to see that. Is that a comic book? I was like, yeah, it is. She's like, oh, I want to see that. I was like, all right, cool.
It's Marvel knows what they're doing.
You know, when I was a kid, my first record that I ever got was a Spider-Man rock opera. So you opened it up and it had all the panels, and you put the record on, and it was the story of the origin of Spider-Man, and then in it he fought the Green Goblin and the Lizard and the Kingpin, and in between were like awesome songs. That's how Jack and I really bonded, because he was one of the few people I met who actually had that album.
Nice.
And in the end, Doctor Strange sends the Kingpin to hell, and it scared the shit out of me as a kid.
Nice.
I mean, I was seeing horror movies from birth. My father took me to everything because we had a movie theater down the block. We had a drive-in not far, and he was just like, and nothing bothered me. But the Kingpin's going to hell, and they showed it. It was like him in flames and everything, and you hear him, no, no. I'm like, oh.
Fantastic.
Yeah, they would never do that today, man.
Yeah, there's so many things
and it was a record geared to little kids.
Yeah,
It
things
wasn't
we
for
grew
us.
up with and took for granted, even as kids. I just can't imagine them doing today.
Look, we grew up watching Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, well, especially Daffy Duck, get shot in the face at
Yes.
will. We went to school, we bullied each other a little bit, and we went and played. The generation that grew up on Barney brings guns to school. So what does that tell you? Because if you look back, this all escalated once that first Barney generation got old enough to buy a handgun.
Interesting.
Trust me, there's something to that.
All right. Excuse me. I could just talk comic books. Have you kept up at all on comics?
You know what? Now what I'll do is I'll grab the trades, and I'll
Yeah.
just do a few here, a few there, like I'm doing Captain America in that Planet Z, Dimension Z,
Okay.
and I'm grabbing them right here. Let's see. I'm also doing. Well, I got this one, IDW. It's an adaptation of The Shrinking Man
Oh,
of
nice.
Richard Matheson.
Yeah.
Really good. And then there's the Iron Man one, Superior Iron Man,
Hmm.
where he becomes the douchebag of all douchebags. I love that. So yeah, I'm checking stuff out like that because I can't keep up. I
I
don't go to the comic book store enough anymore,
I
unfortunately.
quit for about 4 or 5 years, and I hate to say it, but it was there were two things that brought me back. One was all the hoopla about Captain America being a Hydra agent.
Right.
I had to read it for myself and see, and of course, people were crazy over nothing. And DC Rebirth,
Oh,
and
really?
I am picking up a lot of DC titles.
We picked up the Harley Quinn because of the movie, and my daughter was into Harley Quinn. I never really read anything with Harley Quinn before. I was like, this is all right.
Well,
DC just never. I don't know. For some reason, I've always had this disconnect with DC.
I've always preferred Marvel.
Yeah.
It always felt more realistic. Um,
Yeah.
Relatively speaking, of course, because we're talking about superheroes.
The Thing is possible.
It was the real world, and their characters had more depth. I felt.
Yeah.
But there were DC books that I would read. I'd go through stretches where I'd read some Batman or some Superman, but it was always like the Question is probably my favorite DC character. I love the Question.
Oh wow.
Firestorm, and then of
Right.
course the Vertigo titles, and Constantine is right up there with the Question for vying for top spot. But
Right.
this Rebirth, I'm really enjoying some of the titles. It feels like they're going back to basics, and I'm even picking up some that I wouldn't have thought that I would get, like Batgirl and the Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
It's
But I would've-
fun,
Really?
but
How, are they rebooting Jonah Hex?
I have not seen Jonah Hex yet. um, but and some of them, like Wonder Woman's being written by Greg Rucka, so I had to get that.
Right.
Love Greg Rucka. Aquaman is Dan Abnett,
Hmm.
so I got to get that. But I was surprised by Green Arrow. I've always been a Green Arrow fan, but I didn't know how the book was going to be, and I really like it.
I liked Green Arrow when he was with Green Lantern.
Oh, that was just the road trip of all road trips.
That for my buddy, the buddy on the road thing. I love that for DC and Marvel 2-in-1
Oh
on the
yeah.
Marvel side. Those I just love those titles.
But now with Marvel, I am picking up Civil War 2, just the base book. But
Mhm.
again, it's the books like Doctor Strange, Moon Knight.
Moon Knight, Marvel's Batman.
I've always loved Moon Knight because he's multiple personality disorder. How can you not love that for a character?
I sympathize.
Of course, Power Man and Iron Fist, of course.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Slapstick book coming out. Are you familiar with Slapstick?
No.
He's essentially a cartoon character,
Right.
but he's in the Marvel universe. In his first miniseries, he's this weird clown-looking dude. He could get flattened by a safe, and he can just blow into his thumb and reinflate himself.
Right.
And all I remember is like when he meets Daredevil. Daredevil had the yellow and red costume,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
and he's like, Slapstick he's something like, that is the ugliest costume I've ever seen. Are you blind? And then Ghost Rider shows up, and Slapstick freaks out because he's on fire and dumps a bucket of water over his head. And now
So in the movie, he'll be played by Gilbert Gottfried.
that's actually not a bad. Right now he's kind of a hardcore mercenary working with Deadpool.
That sounds like Gilbert Gottfried to me.
I'm actually excited to see he's getting his own book.
Sorry.
I like these non-top tier characters.
Right. Yeah. Well, sometimes, but I think the expectations are less, so the creators can have more fun
I
and
used
more leeway.
Before I quit, I was getting like all the Iron Man, Captain America, the Avengers, all that stuff, but the other characters as well. Now that I have to be a little more choosy,
Right.
I'm going. Although I am getting the Captain America, Steve Rogers Captain America, where he is a Hydra agent. So
This is wrong.
I know I have a Captain America T-shirt, and the first time I went to work after that comic came out, I took a piece of tape and made a word balloon that said "Hail Hydra" and stuck it to my shirt. And then
People looked at you like you were nuts.
I have a Hydra pin. The next time I put the Hydra pin on.
Oh my God, that's
But
too funny.
um, there was another one. Crap, I was going to mention something and I completely forgot. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the Monsters Unleashed, bringing it back around to that because
Yeah.
I loved their monster comics. You know, obviously I got the Marvel Zombies T-shirt quilt behind me.
Yeah, I love that in the background.
My
That's
mother
so
made
cool.
that for me.
Really? That's
These
so
were
nice.
all T-shirts that about half of them I wore to work and they got kind of shredded.
Right.
And then the other half I didn't. But yeah, those are all T-shirts. The reason some of them are smaller is because those were shredded.
Right.
So she just used the pieces that she could. And you can't even see there's more down behind the chair.
I was thinking of doing that with my horror T-shirts. I got so many.
That's what I want her to do next is my horror T-shirts because
Right.
I get this stuff. I work in a factory with razor sharp steel and wire and all this stuff. So they tend to get cut up in the
Yeah.
torso area. So but they make a good quilt.
Yeah, that's a really cool backdrop.
All right, we should probably talk about your stuff,
Whatever.
about everything
My
else.
stuff sucks. Let's talk about comics.
But yeah, we could. I could absolutely. Then you could get me started on the deck building card games.
Oh God.
My favorite game is DC deck building. I absolutely love this
See,
game.
that's something I have not dipped my toe in the water yet.
And
Not yet.
the nice thing, well, a deck building game isn't a collectible card game. If you buy the game, you have everything you need. You don't have to buy it. There are no booster packs.
Right.
So that's a nice thing. And except the Marvel deck building game has so many expansions.
Of
It's
course.
insane. But they also have an Alien game,
Right.
Predator. They just came out
Oh.
with Big Trouble in Little China
Oh, awesome.
and Firefly. They're all compatible. So we've actually played with Wolverine, Star-Lord, I think Captain America and Deadpool fighting xenomorphs.
That's really cool.
Or you could have Jack Burton and Malcolm Reynolds going up against Magneto and Predators.
All right. That's cool.
So I absolutely, if you check out not to plug my own stuff, but I have reviewed most of them on my my YouTube channel,
Whoa.
and I just love these deck building games. But no, we need to talk about your stuff. That's what this is about. So right here, wait, I got to remove this one first. This is what I have from your Sam Hain books.
Hang on to that. Those will be collector's items soon.
Now, we're not going to talk about short stories right now. Your first novel, was that from Sam Hain?
Yes.
And which one was that?
Forest of Shadows.
That would be this one right here.
That is the first. Took me 5 years to write it and 4 years for somebody to buy it.
And I have not read it.
Really?
I'll admit it.
Well, you know what? Have you read Sinister Entity or Island of the Forbidden?
Sinister Entity would be right here. Haven't read it yet.
All right. Well, here. Forest of Shadows is first.
But Island of the Forbidden, of course I have read it.
That's right, because you reviewed that.
Yes.
You're just going to work your way. Jessica is in Forest of Shadows, but she's only 6. And it's in fact, I never meant to do anything after that. That was like a set and done thing, but
It's sort of now a little series.
yeah, and I want to grow it.
I was just gonna ask, is it a trilogy or is it gonna expand?
I have ideas for at least 10 books in total
Oh wow.
already. I have a little folder. I have a folder that just says Jessica, and I've got ideas. Sam Hain, if people don't know, the horror line will be done by the end of the year. So we're going to get our rights back next year. I've got a lot of publishers that want to publish my back catalog.
Nice.
Some books will work for some places, some books for others, but I'm thinking of holding on to those,
Mm-hmm.
putting them out, brand new covers, brand new artwork, maybe adding some deleted scenes like you get on DVDs.
Nice.
That way, I can also I'm thinking of making Forest of Shadows like, what do they call those? Forever free books. So perma free, that's what they call them. So
Okay.
folks can grab the first one for free, and then work their way through the series and add more onto the series. Because I've got no book that I do gets more requests for more stories than those. People, in fact, the weird thing is most of my readers are women, even of the monster books, and they love Jessica.
Well, she's a great character.
She's a blast. I miss her. I haven't written about her in about over a year, and I miss her.
Yeah, I very much. And again, I do need. We mentioned far too much to read in a lifetime.
Yeah.
I will get to the other two, but yeah, I really enjoyed Island. I always want to call it Forbidden Island, but Island of
That's fine.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad introduction to the character for me.
And you know what? I was writing them all so you could read them without having to go back or forth. So they're self-contained,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a progression in it.
Oh, absolutely. You can tell just reading this. I can, obviously there's backstory to this character, but I don't need to have that.
Right.
Enjoy this particular book. Now, this is the first one of yours that I read, and that would be.
Oh God, my redheaded stepchild, Evil Eternal.
Hey, this is the one that got me hooked.
That one was supposed to be like I'll tell you the progression of that. That was me writing a short story, my attempt at writing a short story. And it was originally called Father Exorcist.
Okay.
And in it, Father Michael was battling demons in the sewer under New York. And then I was like, oh, let me try another one. Let me see if I could do a follow-up short story. And I wrote it for myself. And then this website, The Art of Horror, was looking for serialized books. So I gave them those stories, and they said, oh, all right, do you want to do this where you write a new chapter every month, and we'll put it up every month? So that's what I was doing. I was writing this book as I went along every month, and then the website just disappeared. So it sat around unfinished. And then I was going to do a graphic novel with it, and I had an artist, and he was working on that, and then that fell apart. And then when I got signed on with Sam Hain, the first thing, and anybody who was looking to break into writing, when you do get the break, the first thing they ask you for is, what's the other thing you have for me? What's your other book? And you better have something to give them right away. So I had that already. I just hadn't finished it. So I said to Don, I said, well, this is a very over the top. It's very comic. There was no subtlety in this. This is
Yeah, it is quite different.
Yeah, I mean, I think when people read it, knowing that I meant it to be a graphic comic, you'd be like, oh yeah, because I mean everything is so grandiose in that, and it's very visual. So I gave it to him. He goes, yeah, awesome. He goes, just finish it. So I just, get about 30,000 more words in it, and there it went.
It was a lot of fun, and like I said, this was the first one of yours that I picked up. And after reading this, that's when I start. All right, I got to get this one, and I got to get this one, and
if that's the one that hooked you, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
You know what? I do see like at shows, like kids will pick that one up. I'll take it out of their hand. I'm like, nope, you can't have that. They're like, I could read horror. I'm like, no, try another one of these.
So after that, we have this one which you sent to me. We've got Hellhole.
Good old Hellhole. My nod to Spinal Tap.
The horror western. Now, how did you like working on this one?
I love that book. It's funny because I know that weird westerns really don't sell.
I love them.
Weird western is a thing that you do because you love it. And like I love Joe Lansdale's weird western stuff. And my dad, he was just a huge western fan. And I said, all right, I'm going to write this book for me and Dad. And we're going to. And I also always wanted to do a crime book with kind of like, Spencer or Elvis Cole with those. So I said, all right, so
You're
this is
hitting all the right notes here.
this is gonna be like, one of those crime novels set in the Old West, but it's not exactly the Old West because everything's changing. And I had a blast just seeing how much stuff I could throw in there. I was like, oh yeah, I can throw in Teddy Roosevelt and the Jinn and Bigfoots and Black-Eyed Kids and
Yeah, it starts out one way, and maybe the first half. It's been a little while since I read it, so I'm not sure about.
yeah,
But there's maybe the first half has a certain feel to it, very creepy, and then the second half is just crazy, just balls to the wall, and I love it. It's absolutely, but it's
I love
almost like two completely different.
yeah. Well, in the beginning, it's a tough old cowpoke Nat and his buddy Tata, and they're in New York and they're with the president and stuff, and they're out in Wyoming. And then I just said, "No, I'm just gonna throw everything. Like, how many strange people can I put in this and strange things?" And I was a giddy writing that book. It was so weird.
It's a hell of a ride, and it's a lot of fun. Like I absolutely love weird westerns and horror westerns. I don't know why it's not bigger. Come on.
And it's funny
Best
because
genres.
I know Jonathan Jans put out his oh crap, I can't remember it.
Is that Dust Devils?
Dust Devils, that's right. I was going to say Dust and the Devil. Eric Red had one.
There.
We all came out around
the Reds yet.
We all came out around the same time, and I looked at all of us and said, nobody's going to read these friggin' books. But we did them, and that's all that matters.
I love Dust Devils. I have not read Eric Red's yet. I do have it. I mean, it was horror western. I picked it up as soon as it came out.
It's really good. But we're a minority, Eric. We're a very
like you
minority.
mentioned Lansdale. He's the master.
Yep.
His Jonah Hex miniseries, the 2 that he did, fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. And I've got a whole. Of course, no one can see it. I'm just pointing over here. My Joe Lansdale shelf.
Yeah.
With all that stuff, Hap and Leonard. Oh, the best pair of characters.
When I first met Lansdale, I was a little starstruck, and he said, he's the nicest guy with his Texan drawl. How'd you like when you signed the book? And I was like, Joe, I want you to write that you're my biggest fan. Like, I totally screwed it up, and he wrote, Hunter, I'm your biggest fan, Joe Lansdale. I'm like, oh, I've got to put this in amber.
Oh, absolutely. But he's one of those, do you remember Twilight Zone magazine?
Oh, my God, yes.
Yeah, he's one of those authors I was reading then in that magazine. He and Skip Inspector.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know I was reading Skip Inspector at the time.
Me either. I was just reading stuff that was really cool and scary, and the scariest short story, somebody just asked me that, what's the scariest short story I ever read? And it's a story, and I can't remember the name of the author, The Tuck at the Foot of the Bed. And it was a simple thing about a woman who was paranoid about the covers coming untucked on the bed, and the night it does, of course, something comes out and grabs her. And to this day, I will not sleep with my foot hanging over the bed.
That sounds vaguely familiar.
The person who wrote it's not not a household name, and they didn't actually write too many stories, but that one, I'm 48 years old now. I still, it could be 100 degrees. I'm going to have a sheet over me with my all nice and tucked in.
Yeah, that's Twilight Zone magazine. I loved that magazine. It had some amazing stories. And again, some people that, became big, Joe Lansdale, Skip Inspector, like I said. And then I'm sure there's probably some that maybe never published anything else again.
Oh, tons. But the best part about those magazines, every issue used to have a shooting script for a Twilight Zone episode.
That's right. Absolutely.
And when I got married, I threw them all away because our apartment was really small. I had nowhere to keep them. And my father was like, get your shit out of here. Hey, happy that you're married. Get your shit out. so they all end up in the garbage. I wish I had them, man.
The one thing the best, or not necessarily best, most vivid memory, I think, is when Stephen King wrote a review of Evil Dead.
I don't remember that.
Twilight Zone magazine. And it was before the movie came out, I swear, and I may actually be remembering this incorrectly, but I swear he was talking about this movie that might not come out in the United States. I
I could see that.
I will swear it's Stephen King who wrote it for 12 Magazine. I'm 99.97% certain. And there were some pictures, and he talked about, he talked about the movie, what went on in it, and of course, Sam Raimi and how they did all this stuff. And it stuck with me, and I don't know how a year later, whatever, I was at the drive-in one night. We would just go to the drive-in, not caring about what was showing, because we were just going to
Yep.
hang out and have fun. And I'm watching this movie, and all of a sudden, there was one scene, and it had been a still in that article that Stephen King wrote, and it hit. I was like, holy shit, this is that movie Stephen King was talking about.
That's the one.
Oh my God. This is insane. But
Well, you want to hear how my family is so demented that Evil Dead was a family movie night.
Nice.
Mom, Dad, my little sister, and me, they took us to the movies to see Evil Dead and Gates of Hell. That was the double feature.
Nice. That's fantastic.
My sister was permanently scarred. She can't watch anything remotely horror now. And I was just like,
Yeah,
I wanted to get Fangoria so I could get picture stills from Evil Dead and put them on my wall.
I can't remember a time when I wasn't a horror fan. Whether it was movies, TV shows, books,
Nah,
comics, it's maybe it's growing up watching Scooby-Doo. Maybe that's what did it.
yeah, I did too. I was always a horror fan. In fact, my walls, it was this odd combination of like half-naked girls and then just the gross out gore. Just like Lonnie Anderson, her boob is pointing right next to somebody whose head's been blown off.
My wall was solid Frank Frazetta.
Oh.
There were a couple, I think, print books of his work.
Right.
And, I didn't care about the value of a book back then, so I just tore every single page out. They're all just full page prints.
Yeah.
His work, and the plastered. It was like wallpaper, the entire wall.
He was amazing.
Frazetta. Oh, absolutely. So let's see. I'm going to skip. I have another Sam Hain book here, but we're going to save that for a little bit. And we're going to go to this one, which is They Rise with the Chimera Fish. And I want to say, for some reason, it's not on. Yeah, Severed Press.
Yeah.
They don't have their
awesome.
logo on the back of the book or anything, so I had to look inside. Just safe. Creature feature. I love this kind of stuff. But you told me when I did the review, you said there were some, I don't want to say demands, but there was certain things you had to do for this.
Well, yeah, Severed Press, they're fantastic. They're down in Australia. I didn't know. I knew some of their work from some of their, like Adam Caesar and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't know what they actually specialize in things. Where Sam Hain, Don liked anything that was horror. If it tickled his horror, funny bone, he took it and worked on it. They have specific categories that they know their fans love, and their fans are rabid fans. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. And they came to me and they said, would you like to do like a creature book, a sea monster book? I'm like, oh, I haven't done a sea monster book. That'd be awesome. So they said, well, let's give us a proposal. And I did. And then they came back and said, well, because I had like this Cthulhu thing from space coming down into the water and everything. And they were like, this is good, but, our fans kind of like this. And so we went back and forth. And at the time I was like, oh, this is kind of weird, paint by number. But they gave me a lot of creativity in between hitting these certain points, and man, it paid off because that book sold like hotcakes.
Nice.
And it led to me getting 4 more book deals with Severed Press. So, and they're awesome to work with. I just handed in a Loch Ness monster book for him. It's called Loch Ness Revenge. There's ain't nothing like you'd think Nessie books would be like. And I finished the first draft of a book which is going to be a follow-up to the Loch Ness Monster book called Savage City, Lair of the Orang Pendek. So that's going to be set in Sumatra, in a lost city.
Nice.
Both of that and Loch Ness, they're both books about people getting revenge on cryptids for doing them wrong, doing their families wrong at some time.
All right.
And it's creating a much larger mythos that I hope to build this world around cryptids.
Cool.
The Loch Ness Monster book, there's a catalyst in there. It starts something that's going to change everything else that I can write about with cryptids. Even for other publishers, I might sneak that in.
So maybe you can talk to Marvel and they'll let you use Monsters Unleashed as sort of your umbrella.
That would be nice.
Yeah, well, like I said, I love creature features. I love animals killing people. So I really did enjoy this book. I love this book, but I did mention in my review, it did hit those beats. It was very sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
Only good.
No, that's exactly. And it was fun to write. Once I got over the whole, what are you going to tell me what to do?
Yeah.
And then I realized once I did the beats they wanted me to do, they let me do all kinds of crazy stuff in between. And I was like, oh. But since then, it's just, what do you want to write? Go do it.
I was just gonna ask about that.
Yeah.
Well, since we are talking specifically about this one, what sets this apart, and I do compare it to those sci-fi creature feature movies, and I'm talking SYFY.
Yes, sci-fi.
Yeah. What sets this apart, and it's what I think is one of your strengths, is the characters. Your characters are just fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
And, you don't get, and I don't understand. I understand there's a limited budget for those sci-fi movies. But I don't think the writers get paid that much, so
they don't.
Pay them a little more and get some character. And that's what really sets this apart. Aside from, it's a great story. I love the creature, the chimera fish.
Yeah, nobody ever talks about them.
Crazy action, but it's, as in all of your books, it's the characters. I absolutely love them.
If you don't care about the characters, then you're not going to care about any peril you put them in, So,
exactly.
And they're more fun to write than the monsters. They're harder to write.
I can see harder to write. I'm not sure about more fun. I'm not really more fun than the monsters.
Believe it or not, I love exploring the relationships people have, and I scribble like whole backstories, stuff that will never make it into any of the books, but especially for my main characters, I try to know them as well as I possibly can. So
it's like you do from reading.
To me, that's believe it or not, that's the most fun part. I have a blast with the monsters and killing people. I love that. But it's more challenging. I think I like the challenge a little bit more of building those characters, those relationships.
Well, you finally mentioned the C word, cryptid.
I was going to say, I didn't say the C word.
So that's why I skipped over my final Sam Hain book that I have, because we're going to get into the cryptid talk now. Dover Demon.
Good old Dover Demon.
Ouch, Elliot.
And then that brings us, we have Dover Demon from Sam Hain, and then from Pinnacle, we got Montauk Monster.
Oh, man, that was my therapy book.
And your latest, The Jersey Devil.
Fresh out, all over Jersey.
And we'll save the other Pinnacle for later because it's not a cryptid book. But, so, your obsession with cryptids. How did it begin?
I blame Leonard Nimoy. It's his fault.
Okay.
In Search of, Man, Bigfoot, and Loch Ness Monster, I was locked in. I used to go back before the internet days, I would go to different libraries to get every book I could on Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster. And then I would find books about the Lake Ogopogo monster and Champy and all that stuff. And Mothman I discovered. I don't know. I love that kind of stuff. And I always hope they're all real.
Now, you mentioned family viewing, and In Search Of was family viewing for us.
Oh.
The whole family would get together. We'd sit down and watch In Search Of.
Yeah. That was a creepy show. It's still creepy.
But I'd say, for me, the biggest influence as far as Bigfoot goes, and you and I talked about this before we started recording, $6 Million Man.
I got him right here.
Absolutely. That was, I don't remember any other episodes. That's the one.
Yeah, that one tickled all of us.
It
It
was
got
Bigfoot.
grabbed us. Do you remember the show, the Saturday morning show, Bigfoot and Wild Boy,
Yeah.
live action? Wild Boy,
We had such great shows back in the day.
Land of the Lost. We love that stuff.
Have you seen the movie? I think it's called Drawing Flies.
No,
I'll grab my phone here just to make sure. Basically, it's from some of Kevin Smith's crew.
right.
Let me just make sure as I do this.
Is it new?
No. Let's see if I can find this. Yeah, Drawing Flies, 1996. Stars Jason Lee, Renee Humphrey, Jason Mewes is in it. But basically, it's about these people that watch that Bigfoot episode of Six Million Dollar Man and become
Right.
obsessed with finding Bigfoot. And so go out in
Really?
search of Bigfoot.
Writing it down. You're giving me a lot of homework tonight.
Well, this is on IMDb. The quick description says a young man, with the help of his unsuspecting roommates, hikes through the Canadian wilderness in search of Sasquatch.
That sounds like something Kevin Smith would do now.
The tagline is a good monster is a terrible thing to waste. Well, it's not. Kevin Smith may be a producer. It's directed by Matthew Gissing and Malcolm Ingram.
All right.
They also wrote it. I know the name Malcolm Ingram. Kevin Smith talks about him a lot. The other guy I'm not super familiar with, but I'm a Kevin Smith fan. I like Jason Lee and Jason Mewes, and
Jason Mewes is out of his head.
yeah, but he's entertaining.
Did you like Tusk?
I haven't seen it yet. I just picked it up recently from the Exchange. I got it on Blu-ray for like $10.
You were going to sit there like this for the whole movie. It's crazy.
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen Yoga Hosers, the
No,
newest.
I haven't seen that yet either.
But I liked Red State.
Red State was awesome.
I thought Red State was great, and I love most of his comedies.
I didn't. When Red State was over, I thought maybe it was made by another guy named Kevin Smith.
Yeah, it's
That
definitely.
has no relation to anything that he's ever done.
I think there are bits of him in there, like there are pieces of it that I recognize as his writing style.
Right.
I think definitely.
When that alarm started going off, I was like, my heart
Oh,
stopped. Like,
the
where is this
horror?
movie going? Oh my God.
I know
freaked me out.
it's a crazy. It's subtle, but it's crazy. It's just you don't know which direction it's going to go in.
You think you do.
Yeah.
And then again, and John Goodman was phenomenal in it.
Oh, absolutely.
Just like he was amazing in 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Absolutely.
That's my favorite movie this year so far, and it's all because of him.
Well, since you brought it up, what do you think of the ending?
I kind of you know what? If they would have stayed in that bunker the entire time, I would have been perfectly happy. But at one point, I'm thinking, yeah, I want to see some aliens too, though. This is a Cloverfield movie. I want to see some aliens. I mean, in the end, it wasn't the strongest ending that it could have been, but I didn't care at that point because to me, John Goodman was the most menacing character I've seen in a long time.
So good. My biggest problem with the ending is I just didn't like the way the aliens and the ships looked. I don't know why.
Right.
I just really didn't. Maybe because they were too CGI. They kind of stood out. You had this great movie, and then all of a sudden you've got this. I think my preferred ending, not that I have any say in anything anywhere at any time, I think it would have been great if she got out of the bunker.
Right.
And you just see what the truth is.
That would have been cool.
In this case, without all the other stuff.
Right.
Just sort of, she comes out of the bunker, camera pans up, you see the devastation. And maybe some spaceship. Again, spoilers, people.
Yeah. Go see the movie.
Spaceships. I didn't hate the ending. I didn't like the way the creatures looked. But
it was very loud when we saw it, so the sound was so jarring. But like I said, any ill at the end, I didn't care
Oh, absolutely.
because the ride to get there was impeccable.
It's incredible. Yeah, it's an amazing film.
Yeah.
But back to cryptids.
Yes.
So In Search Of started this whole thing, and how far have you taken this? Other than writing the books.
Well, I mean, I've been to the International Cryptozoology Museum quite a few times and have befriended Lauren Coleman, he's on TV all the time. He's the guy who gave us the Montauk Monster, the Dover Demon. I mean, he was there when these things happened, gave them the names. Um, I used to go out and kind of look for Bigfoot, but it was the Bronx, so I don't think I was ever going to find him.
Like we have some woods across the street, but I don't know that they're big enough
Yeah.
for a Bigfoot.
Do
But
some
when
wood
you're a
knocking.
kid, you want to.
Yeah. No, my thing, growing up in Westchester County, New York in the 80s, my thing was UFOs that you could go look for because we had a huge UFO flap in the 80s where they were in the sky. There isn't a person around that hasn't seen one.
Well, again, going back to the old stuff we used to watch on TV. You remember Project Blue Book?
Oh, yes, I do.
That was
Love that show.
every week had to watch that show.
Yeah. It's in this house here. The one thing I can't talk about out loud is aliens because they scare the crap out of my daughter.
My sister is afraid of aliens.
I mean, I'm like, why are you so scared of them? Like, I don't know. I just am. I said, do you think they're real? Well, you think they're real. It's like, that's just a hope they're real. I don't know for sure. But yeah, she cannot. I can't say anything about. I can't even we can't. There was we saw a huge UFO. My wife, when she was my girlfriend, my mother, and my sister, along with hundreds of other people. It stopped traffic on a major highway. But anytime we start to bring it up, my daughter just tells us all to just shut up.
We're talking about it.
Exactly. Stop it already. God, why are you talking about this all the time? It's like, because it changed our lives.
All right, well, let me ask you this. Did you have to push any of the few publishers that have done your cryptid, did you have to push for these cryptid stories, or were they open to them?
The first one I did was Swamp Monster Massacre for Sam Hain, and that was a novella with skunk apes and set in the Everglades. And Don was just like, yeah. In fact, we talked about it at midnight while I couldn't sleep. I was watching Bar Rescue Marathon, and he reached out to me, and we just started talking, and came up with that idea watching John Taffer, who I suspect is a shaved-down skunk ape. And so that came out, and then my editor at Kensington, Gary, he said he had loaded up 1,000 books on his Kindle, and he was looking for somebody new to work with that was going to write monster books. And he says, I deleted 999 books. And he goes, I was left with Swamp Monster Massacre. So he reached out to me.
Nice.
And he said, let's do monsters together. He goes, pick monster for me. So I was like, well, New York, the Montauk Monster. And, he was like, he goes, all right, I got to bring it before everybody and show them. So we showed them the actual pictures of the Montauk Monster that washed up on the beach and the news articles. And they were like, go for it. And my idea was to just do one Montauk Monster that made it to the beach alive. And Gary, who's a little nuts, said, make 100 of them. If there's one, there could be 100.
This is balls to the wall monster action in this book.
Yeah, it was
absolutely fantastic. And I got to tell you, when I walked into Barnes and Noble and saw this on the bookshelf, I was so excited. Not just because I could buy a new monster book, but I was excited for you. The horror genre, from my perspective anyway, you've got your huge names that are in the bookstores, and then you have all these other incredible authors.
Yeah, who can't get in.
That, I don't know. Sam Hain was print on demand, right?
Yeah, so they weren't in many stores.
Once Leisure disappeared.
Yeah, and then also St. Martin Press and Tor, they kind of backed away too. So You don't get much. You can't even find Bentley Little in a bookstore anymore, and that's a crime.
That's craziness.
It's a
But
crime.
so I was very excited, and I don't know what it is. Again, it's like chocolate and peanut butter. You and Pinnacle. These three books are just amazing. I don't know. I mean, I followed Don from Leisure to Sam Hain.
Hmm.
Basically, I followed the editor.
Yeah,
So
me
I don't know
too.
if it's the people you're working with or something different that you're doing. I absolutely love your Pinnacle books. They're just
Yeah, I approach them differently. Um, it's funny. They're bigger books, and I write them faster than I do with the Sam Hain books. Like Torches of the Dam, which was 400 something pages,
hmm
I wrote in 2 months. Um, but I don't know. Maybe it's my mindset when I go in. Like Severed, it's a totally different mindset when I write the books for them. I'm doing a book for another publisher. That's completely unlike anything I've done before. So I guess it's like, slipping into a suit. Each suit is different, so you
All
you,
right.
you
Well,
act a little differently in your suit.
before we get to the other Pinnacle book, just a little bit more about the cryptids. Like I mentioned this in my review of the Jersey Devil, which is now. Do you read? Have you ever read Max Allan Collins? Any of
I
his?
haven't yet, no.
Um, in my review of Jersey Devil, I mentioned his Nathan Heller series,
Right.
and Nathan Heller's Private Eye. Start like the first one. I think the first Nathan Heller book takes place right after Capone went to jail,
Hmm.
and then they go
Well,
from there.
when you did that review, I wrote that down too.
But
That's something else to get.
yeah. Oh, he's got. I actually have. I can see some of my Max Allan Collins books behind my laptop there. Um, but what he does, at least in I think most of the Nathan Heller books I've read, is he takes these real unsolved crimes and
Hmm.
Nathan Heller solves them
Right.
for the most part. Or it might be something that was solved, or allegedly solved, but there are a lot of unanswered questions. He answers those questions. He has a few books about Elliot Ness when he was in Cleveland,
Hmm.
and he has the solution to the torso killings in Cleveland back in the day.
Oh, that's
And
really
Elliot
cool.
Ness was safety director here
Right.
in Cleveland. Um, and the reason I brought that up is because I got that same feeling from your cryptid books. To me,
Hmm.
you're giving us the again, and I think I put it this way in my review, within the realm of the fictional world, you're giving us the real answer.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, because I want to stay true to the legend, for each. And not everybody knows about these things, so I got to weave that in and then throw in my odd take on it.
so are these well, the Jersey Devil and the Montauk Monster, is this what you think, or is it the most popular belief as to their origins?
Well, the Montauk Monster, that I do. Plum Island, which is just off of Montauk, was originally started by a Nazi scientist that came over from Project Paperclip.
Roger Paperclip.
And they were there to, find a cure for hoof and mouth disease and other infectious diseases. Then it became ways to weaponize them. And whatever washes up in Long Island when that facility was in operation, I'm sure was some experiment gone wrong.
Okay.
So that Montauk Monster thing, even though Lauren Coleman says it was a raccoon, I think it was something that just some poor animal got put through whatever tortures they had out there and, died and just kind of chucked it into the sea. Jersey Devil, that's just my business. It has nothing to do with any popular or even oddball belief of what the Jersey Devil
Okay.
is. I wanted to take something that is so tried and true here, and I stuck to the origin of the legend, but then I threw in some stuff that only New Jersey could do to a creature if it
Yes,
lived out there.
absolutely, absolutely. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so,
So,
you
people,
know,
if you want to know what he's talking about, you got to pick it up and read it, which you should be doing anyway. Pick up these books and read them.
please, so I can feed my family.
And then, the reason I didn't toss in the Dover Demon with those two, as far as the origins and everything, is because this one's just is crazy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, that one is my attempt to kind of explain what the Dover Demon is. That one was a real attempt at trying to figure out what it is.
and it's a wild explanation.
Because people look at it as they go, oh, well, that's a cryptid, which is an earthbound normal creature. And other people go, oh, that's an alien. And I look at it and go, it's both. So in my head, I'm like, if it's anything, it's both. So I had to find a way in a narrative to make it both things at the same time. So I wasn't trying to pander to both sides of the coin. It's just I just felt like
Well, it works,
it
and
could be
it's.
both.
Uh, I think it's probably the weirdest of yours that I've read.
It is.
Just
Well, there's a lot of trippy stuff.
it's out there. Yeah.
There are things that I put those characters through that some people are like, oh, why did he keep doing this and making them they appear here and disappear here? It just made me kind of like dizzy, and I'm like, that was the idea.
Hmm.
Reading it, I wanted you to get the same feeling that they were having. If it turned into boredom, I apologize, but I was just trying to get this sense of just hopelessness and exhaustion
I
because they couldn't get out.
I want to say that in my review, I may have said that I felt that went on a little too much. I can't remember now.
You weren't, if you said it, you weren't alone with it, because a lot of
Because
people
there is
said
a
that.
lot of that.
But that was the idea,
Mhm.
because in the book, it takes place once it gets going over the course of one night,
Right. Yeah.
and it's the longest, most relentless night you can imagine. So, and they're wearing down physically and mentally and spiritually as it goes. And for some reason, I'm like, I want to put the reader through the same damn thing. So
You hate your readers?
I do. I hate every one of them. No. What are you kidding? I love my Hellions. My Hellions.
Oh, yes, the Hellions. So your third, actually the second Pinnacle book, but the third one I'm bringing up, Tortures of the Damned, right
Which was
there.
supposed to be a cryptid book.
Oh, really? See, now I was going to ask why this one is not.
I had to meet my editor in a week with the idea for the next book, and I was going to do a Bigfoot that tied in the Nephilim and giants from the
Oh.
Bible and all this stuff. Little did I know it's been done before. I thought this was something new. So I was struggling with this story idea, and we were sitting, it was just after Christmas, and we're sitting here, and we hear a trio of explosions that shakes the house, and it sounds like it's coming from the sky. Now, we have JFK Airport and LaGuardia Airport not too far, so we thought a plane just blew out of the sky. We jumped up. I mean, it shook the house. Go outside, it's pure silence. Everybody in the neighborhood is outside. We don't know what the hell just happened. People thought their furnaces exploded. We're calling the cops. The cops are like, we have no idea. We're sending teams out. We don't even know where to go. The next day, they said that somebody took industrial grade fireworks in the Bronx and set them off in a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The impact was felt for a 50-mile radius. Now, when they showed the place where the fireworks went off, you saw like an ash can blown up, but nothing else.
Right.
No like paper, no remains. And I'm like going, and it blew out the windows in the Bronx. So people who were living around the Pelham Parkway area, some of their windows were blown out from it. But I'm like, I don't buy that at all. And none of us you could feel it in your chest. And the area where it is from us is about 20 miles. So I'm sorry, I don't believe that fireworks could make me feel that from 20 miles. But there was that night when it happened, and there was no news, and there was dead silence. And I said, what the hell if this was the end of the world? And my kids were freaking out, and I'm like, where would we go? And what would we do? That got my brain turning. So by the time I got to my editor, I said, I want to do an apocalypse book. I want to do a pre, during, and post-apocalypse book. So he was like, sure. But, so we kind of mapped out what I wanted to do. And he was the one who threw in the idea of putting animals in it as kind of the cleanup crew because he's nuts. So we put in the animals, which adds a little B movie flavor to it, but there's a reason for it.
Hmm.
Because you've got the EMP bombs that knock out anything. It just puts you to the Stone Age, and they're a real possibility. It's something that the government is concerned about, but for some reason isn't doing the steps it needs to take to protect us from it. You got that. You got chemical weapons, so it knocks out the infrastructure. Chemical weapons take out the people, and the animals are there to take out whatever's left. Whatever's still walking around, which is maybe hopefully North Korea North Korea isn't listening to this idea. So, and that was and I said, you know what I want to do is take a nice family, a good group of people. None of them, there's a teenager in, but he's not an asshole.
Exactly, and that's, again, we go back to what I was saying earlier, your characters.
I wanted to go against what people would normally do. I said, I'm going to do a Christian loving family that loves each other and put them through hell.
They're a great family, and you don't have, and again, I think I probably mentioned this in my review, you have the guy with the bunker.
Yep.
That's prepared.
Good old Buck.
But he's not, he's not a Daryl from The Walking Dead kind of guy.
No, he's a heavy-set older guy.
There are no experts in this story, no heroes in this story. They're normal. I mean, people do heroic things, but they're
right.
They're definitely just normal people, and they are a loving family.
Yeah.
And you don't have, despite that lack of character tension, I suppose, it's still an incredibly tense book. And there are moments of character tension, especially when strangers show up.
Right.
But you don't have a lot of that you get in movies and TV shows and other books. You don't have that super, I'm not even sure how to describe it, that tension between characters because one of them's an asshole and one of them is this and one of them is that.
Right.
And it's the same thing with the Willets in The Jersey Devil.
Yeah.
They're, and again, I mentioned this in my review, I would expect when you have this family group that sort of has this mission that you're going to have that rebel child that,
right.
No, screw you guys, I don't believe in it, you're all crazy. You don't have that, and that's refreshing.
Yeah, the kids, they couldn't deny it because there's a constant reminder that it's going to happen. They're not perfect, especially the oldest son. He's got a bit of a drinking problem. He's got maybe some PTSD. But you know what? I grew up in a loving family. I mean, we didn't have all these conflicts. So I just try to take my life experience and put that into bizarre circumstances and how did they react to it. And the Willett family, I love the Willett family. Oh, I could write about them all day, every day.
The characters in both Tortures of the Damned and Jersey Devil are some of my favorite characters. Absolutely. You want to follow them. You want them to make it through, but it's horror, so,
Yeah, but the Willets do something I haven't done. They run to the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Which usually in monster books, everyone's running from. And then maybe towards the third act, they'll be like, all right, let's take it to the monster. These folks have been preparing for this for decades. But the best part is that no matter how well prepared you are, life is going to just put it right up your butt. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, there's no amount of prepping you can do for especially something like fighting a Jersey Devil.
Yes. Or more than one Jersey Devil.
More than two, maybe.
Right. Now, we're moving along here. I'm trying to, where is the time on this thing? Oh, there it is.
All right. 4 in the morning.
We've been, the amount of time we've been recording. I think we're going to jump to the lightning round.
All right, let's go.
Here we go. Last time I tried this, it was more of a slow rumble of thunder round. But we'll see. Here we go. Favorite horror novel?
Boy's Life, Robert McCammon.
Oh, nice. Favorite horror author?
Robert McCammon.
Okay. Yeah.
Stephen King is close second.
I was out in California when I discovered McCammon and just went looking. I think Stinger was the first of his novels that I read.
so good.
and just went nuts trying to find anything I could. And now I'm trying to rebuild my collection with the editions that they either had the full sun or the full moon on them.
Yeah.
Like all the covers for the books were the same. I only have 4 with that cover right now.
Right.
Um,
He's a guy, when I read his books, I go, why am I even trying?
but
Like, he's so good.
yeah, I've read some books like that. It's like, all right, I quit. But all right, yeah, Robert Cameron, a couple of good answers there. Favorite horror movie?
The Thing, the John Carpenter's.
A lot of people's favorite. Um,
I go between that and Alien, but right now The Thing has been my top spot for a while.
it's fantastic. I saw that in the theater. Absolutely.
Me too. Oh my God, it's great.
Favorite horror franchise?
Friday the 13th, even though I know they are deeply dumb and flawed movies, I could care less. Even Jason X, I ate it up.
I loved the only 2 that I really. Well, there's only one that I really despise, and that is Jason Goes to Hell. Although it does have some great kills in it.
Right.
But the story is just horrible. Not that the rest have great stories, but it just went.
I think if those movies came out now, I wouldn't like them as much because growing up, when they came out, it was an experience. You went to the theater, it was packed, it was mayhem, it was an event. It was an unforgettable event to see it with that group of people, and it was always fun. And I'd have to go see it multiple times so I could catch everything in between the screaming and the cherry bomb that went off and making out with the strange girl because there were no seats and she sat on my lap during it. So that I think that I have that emotional connection to seeing them in the theater. That's why.
Absolutely. And I don't know, I've always preferred Jason to Michael Myers or Freddy Krueger, so.
Freddy I could live without. Michael Myers I like, but those movies just get. I didn't have the same attachment to those.
Least favorite horror franchise?
Oh my God, maybe Saw.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was the first one was okay. And the rest got
That's the same answer I got from the last person I talked to.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, and I was like going, "There's another one."
I've only seen the first 3.
I'm like, didn't that guy die? How is he still making these?
I've seen 3. I have not seen there's 8 total, I think.
That's just way too many.
Yeah.
Anything more than the first is too many.
We're going to have to see when I do my next interview. We're going to have to see if the next person picks Saw.
Yeah, we could be like, who was watching these?
Interesting. All right, that's it for the lightning round. That went pretty quickly.
Oh, that was easy.
That went much more. I'm going to have to find more questions, I guess, for the lightning round.
I actually had ideas in my head.
But now my favorite part, and I've done this now with Mike Lombardo in the first one, but I've also done this with Ted Raimi. So I'll tell you the same thing I told Mike.
No pressure.
If you refuse to do this, you're basically saying you're better than Ted Raimi.
Okay, all right.
So this is my favorite segment, 5 questions about me.
5 questions about you?
I'm going to ask you 5 questions about me.
Oh, my God. I thought I got to ask you 5 questions.
No.
Shit. All right, here we go.
But you know what? The first one's going to be a gimme. What is my favorite Hunter Shea book? You should know this.
The Montauk Monster.
Oh, no.
Oh,
I
shit.
can't believe you got that wrong. No, it's Tortures.
Tortures of the Damned. That's right. I'm sorry.
Montauk
I was close.
Close, but
I was 1 year off.
I love this book. Absolutely love the characters. Plus, it's got animals killing people. I love animals. I don't know what it is.
See, Gary, someone liked the animal idea. No, a lot of people did. In fact, that's another book people are asking me for more with the kids.
Well, I think growing up on movies like Willard and
Empire of the Ants and
Empire of the Ants, Phase 4.
Yeah.
There's a place in my deep dark soul for animals killing people. I love it.
Hey, that's why I didn't say no when he said to put him in there.
All right. Yes. Tortures. All right. You got the first one wrong. Come on.
Yeah. Good job.
All right. Well, let's try another. This one should be relatively easy. What is my favorite cryptid?
Bigfoot.
Oh.
Son of
The Chupacabra.
The Chupacabra?
It's so much fun to say. And
all right.
It's a goat sucker. Come on.
Yeah. You know what? The Chupacabra's only been around for like 18 years.
I love me some Chupacabra. I used to have a stuffed, like a plush
Really?
Chupacabra, and it got when I moved 5 or so years ago, and a lot of my stuff is gone, and my little plush
Oh,
stuffed
see,
Chupacabra is gone.
what I see, what's going to happen after this? You and I are going to fail on the Newlywed Game. We will never be able to be on the Newlywed Game. Where's your favorite place to make whoopee?
And we started off so well with the comic books and the Joe
Oh,
Lansdale.
I know.
All right. Let's see. What? No, that's got to be the last question.
Oh, God.
I got to save that one.
I'm terrified now. I feel like a failure.
Let's see. Well, who is my favorite non-Sam Hain or non-Hunter Shea Sam Hain author? My favorite non-Hunter Shea Sam Hain author.
I'm going to say Jonathan Jans.
There you go. You got one. Although it's a tough call, and are there technically Sam Hain horror authors anymore?
Not anymore, but it's funny because Don, our former art editor, said he was always be like, you and Jonathan Jans are the people I get people asking about the most. So that's why I just always assume him. Brian Moreland is awesome too.
Brian Moreland, but Adam Caesar?
Hail Caesar, love Adam.
Love his stuff.
Ron Malfi. Ron Malfi's the best of us all. I'll say that right here. He's the best of us all.
Have you read The Night Parade yet?
That's going to be my first book to read for October.
I don't know. I didn't think he was going to be able to top Little Girls.
He didn't think he was going to be able to finish that book last time I talked to him, so I'm glad he did.
All right, so you got one.
I got one, all right. I'm not a complete failure.
Let's see, that was 3. Number 4, what's my favorite color?
Black.
There you go. Come on, that's easy. Ted
Yeah.
Raimi got that wrong. Come on, Ted.
What did he say, pink?
Red, which is number 2, but still.
Yeah,
Come
all
on.
right.
All right, and now this one is kind of a gimme. What am I most looking forward to next from Hunter Shea?
Like a title? The next book I put out with Pinnacle.
Probably. Can you
But
tell us what it is?
I don't know. You know what? I'm doing for them, it's a series of 3 novelettes
Okay.
that are going to go with their, is it Lyric Press? They're just going to be ebooks, and then what they might do is just package them together.
I'm
and
so
make them paperback.
non-digital. Oh,
I'm not digital either, but what they want to do is then put them as a paperback because they all have a theme, but I can't give it away yet.
okay. All right. I won't dig.
But it's funny. It's funny horror.
No, I like comedy horror. Jeff Strand, come on.
You will love this. This will be right up your alley. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I'm absolutely looking forward to anything you're doing with Pinnacle. But how about the Severed Press? Now you mentioned two of the 3 or 4 you mentioned already. What else have you got?
Well, Loch Ness Revenge should come out next month in time for Halloween. Then the next one will be Lair of the Orang Pendix.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm going to write Fury of the Orcas.
Nice.
I don't want to give that one away, but I like that title too. And then the other one is Megalodon in Paradise.
Right. I think it was on Facebook that you posted.
Yeah.
I don't think you had I don't remember seeing Fury of the Orcas listed.
Oh, I put it on there. My sister-in-law, she came over the night. She goes, "Were you just like kidding? Are those real titles?" I'm like, no, those are real.
The other 3. I don't remember. I must have been half asleep when I looked at that.
Yeah, that was Fury of the Orcas. My agent is Louise Fury, so she's like, "You better not make me a whale." I'm like, "No."
Come on. What's the only possible thing better than being killed in a book would be being the killer in a book.
Right?
I would be a killer whale. Come on.
Hey, you know what? You haven't told anybody that I put you in the Jersey Devil.
Yes. Yeah,
so
and
you're in there.
And I like to think I was rather heroic.
You were heroic. I wanted to make you do a grand gesture.
And I appreciate that.
Before you breathe your last.
Yes. The second time I've been killed off in a book. Pretty
See,
exciting.
this could. What was the other book?
The Pumpkin Man by John Everson.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So, you know what? You look like him.
Like John?
He could be like your mini me.
He could be.
Mini me.
Yeah. I actually I did beta reading on that one. And he sent it to me piece by piece. And the email he sent with this particular chunk, he said, "I hope you don't mind. I killed you off in this part." I was like, "Mind? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, thank you.
That would be awesome."
But remember this: he made you work to get in the book. I just put you in.
Well, I've done some work.
Yeah, that's true. You've earned it.
But yeah. They found my head in a pumpkin, which was pretty nice.
You know what? I've had people come to me and complain when I put them in a book and didn't kill them. They're like,
It's
"Oh, I lived."
it's kind of it's nice. It's fun. It's great party talk.
Exactly.
I've been told a couple of times.
That's
All
so
right.
funny.
So yes. All right. Well, you got two and
I
a
got
half out of 5, I guess.
Yeah. Let's give me 2.5. That's
Maybe
good.
2.5 out of 5. All right. So before we wrap this up, is there anything specific you wanted to talk about? Anything you want to plug?
Well, first, hope you all go out and get the Jersey Devil. Go to huntershea.com. All the information you need is there. And I will announce out here that I am starting something new. It's called Hunter Shea's Fast Frights. And they're going to be short stories that I've written that I'll be putting out. Again, there'll only be ebooks. But Jason Brandt, the author's might be talking me into making print ones too. But we're going to do at least September, October, November, one a month. I call them Fast Frights because they're short stories, but the first story is like 50 pages long, so it's not that short.
Nice.
But my first one is about aliens. So this is going to be a chance for me to just...
So your daughter won't read it?
No. In fact, I wanted her to read it because my normal beta reader couldn't do it, and she was like, she kept putting it off, and I'm like, oh, that's right, she can't read this. But you know what? I did some writing for anthologies, and they take them, and it takes forever to see the anthology come out. I've been waiting for one from Cemetery Dance since 2011.
Wow.
So I'm like, if I'm going to write short stories, I want to get them out. It serves no purpose for me to write something that's just going to sit somewhere for years at a time.
Right.
So that's the whole idea of this and also it's fun to write short stories every now and then, and it gives me complete creative freedom to do any bizarre shit I want to do, as if the stuff I write isn't already bizarre enough. But so that's Hunter Shea Fast Frights. That'll come out last week of September will be the first one. Dark Masters.
And where can people find that?
That'll be all over huntershea.com, and we're going to have it, it'll be everywhere. Kobo, iTunes, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, so
all right.
It will be everywhere.
And you've got a newsletter.
I have a newsletter, the Dark Hunter, what the hell? I got like Canadian, Dark Hunter newsletter, so people sign up. I'm always giving stuff away. I call my fans my Hellions. I've now opened up a store. We've got
the store?
Branded gear, and people are sending me pictures of them in their Hellion shirts and stuff. It's really cool. So we're just having fun, man. Life is too short.
Well, you recently did your little live Facebook thing.
Yes.
That was a lot of fun.
That was exhausting. Oh, my God.
The only problem, and I don't know if this was just on my end, if everybody that's on Facebook has this, eventually it stops showing me the comments.
Yeah, there's limits. I've learned, first of all, doing an hour and a half is too much. There were over 600 comments that I had to follow.
Yeah.
But also, the longer it goes, Facebook starts to shut people off, so people were dropping off and dropping back on. It was just nuts.
Well, I had to, like I said, there's a point where it stops showing me any new comments. So you were answering questions that I wasn't seeing.
Right.
So I would refresh the page.
Yeah.
So I think that's why maybe I was dropping off and coming back on, and maybe other people were doing that and then I would get the other comments, and I know Steve Barnard Spoon came on. He's a buddy of mine, and I know he's a buddy of you and Jack.
Yeah.
And I've known him for years, and like you answered one of his questions. I'm like, he's here? Where I didn't see him show up.
Yeah, next time I'm going to do more of those, but I'm going to set a time limit. And Jack and I want to do that and do live events at haunted places.
Nice.
And maybe do some urban exploring so people can see some the weird abandoned places in the tri-state area. So that kind of was a test to see how it works. And we're like, oh, this does work. So
I did like a 3-minute test of the live thing just to see how it worked. And I was thinking, I'm trying to think of something for me to use it for. And I don't know if I was like, I could do live book reviews.
Yeah.
I'd have to sort of announce it, I guess. And
or you could do like a book club.
I mentioned that too. I was thinking about doing a book club, but then it's just, I guess I would sort of be the overlord of the book club and watch just everybody else talking about it, or
yeah.
But
you're the moderator.
I like overlord.
Overlord, yeah, that's way better.
Yeah, it's a nice tool, and for someone promoting something like you and connecting with your fans, it works great. Someone like me, I really need to find a reason to use it.
Just have fun with it. I found out that's what my kids told me about it. They're like, oh, we do this. I'm like, you do? What is this thing? What is this technological thing that you have?
I actually saw one of the most fun things I saw someone use it for. I think it was SourceFed Nerd.
Mm-hmm.
Did a live Pictionary.
That could be kind of funny.
So they were doing Pictionary, and we're watching and typing our guesses into the comments. It was
right. That's a good
kind
idea.
of fun.
Yeah, dude. There's so much stuff you can do nowadays. So I like that. I mean, in the old days, you had to go on a book tour.
Yeah.
But it used to be your publisher books the thing for you and pays. That doesn't happen anymore. You could pay to go to a con, but by the time you get there, and you could sell out, and you're still down. You're not making your money back.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to find different ways to connect with people other than a blog or Twitter or Facebook. So that's why I like to do Monster Men. That's why I'm going to try doing that some more. So it's just different ways to just kind of connect with people in a weird way that we connect with each other nowadays.
Absolutely. Well, all right. So everybody needs to check out HunterShea.com.
Yeah, everything is there. Everything you need and more.
Check out Monster Men.
Please.
Go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble or wherever you go to pick up your books. People, talking to you people out there.
Go to the bookstore and get Jersey Devil. It's everywhere.
Absolutely. And check out Hunter Shea's stuff. So thank you very much, Hunter, for
thank you.
Allowing me to subject you to this.
Anytime. You can subject me anytime. Overlord.
Now it's just going to go to my head.
That's right.
I have to print up T-shirts.
I'm the Overlord.
All right, so I guess that's it for this episode of the Low Budget Interview Show. Thank you, Hunter Shea. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we'll see you next time.